people queuing up for tickets. No, not all of us are exposed to the modern technologies and so forth. When you talk about people buying online, I can tell you now, it's more of those people than people who want to compete tickets. That's my take on the matter. So I think whether you say PSL or people of the tournament itself, which is Nedbank, they have to revisit the approach or the structure or so how they conducted this thing, because somehow it never gave a good picture.
Beautiful people, mtana sekha, mtana semzini, mtaka gogo, mtaka auntie, mtaka ma. Igama lami Ntokozo Skakhane. Welcome to our show Ntokozo's Kickoff. We have our coach today, Coach Mafa. Sobanai nje. Now and then Sobanai, where you wanna analyze game. And today we're focusing we derby, which is a Nedbank Cup. So sizokhuluma na indoda enkulu, and then bafethu sibonga njalo ukusubscribe kwenu, comment awenu, nokulike awenu. Kancane sokhula nama comment siyawathanda, silokho sifunda nje improve ukuze sibe right. But ke for now, coach, welcome.
Big man, thank you so much, Ntokozo. It's always a great pleasure to be part of the show. I'm really thrilled to be part of this process.
No.
Thanks once again.
But ke bafethu namhlanje sothi kwenza something different where sizokhuluma ngegame lesibheke kuyi-final, but you also want to touch base kwilesibuya kwena nge-weekend ukuthi sibona kanjani. None guys you can comment there, but ke uyiqala nje coach, sibuya kwi-derby.
Yeah, baba.
Pirates 2, Chiefs 1.
Yes.
And going to a final match.
Yes.
With a short space of time bayaphinda labantu. So how was the game? Uyibone kanjani wena, because kuzomela kube khona ama-changes going forward, because there were a lot of positivity and negativity.
Yes.
But you watched the game, so can you touch base with the game uyibone kanjani?
I think it's important for one, first and foremost, to always give credit to Betway for great advertisement of South African football. You know, it always places us in the map. Coming back to your question, I think it was a great game for both sides. Chiefs started well, house on fire. You know, everything was going well for them. Hence, they managed to score a first goal. It always looked good up until Pirates came back to equalize. But I was happy how the approach of both teams was. You know, it was always good even for the person who was at the stadium. When you talk about the technicalities as to how Chiefs scored the first goal, it was so good. I don't want to lie, my brother. When you start from the build-up at the back, coming to your middle third, right up to final third, the goal, you can tell it's a drill from the sessions at training. But also Pirates also showed great character for scoring that equalizer. Critical phase of the game, they were always praying that they score at least equalizer going to half-time, so that when they come back, the approach will be different.
In terms of lineup,
Yeah.
you were happy with the Chiefs lineup because there were a lot of changes. Pirates and Chiefs, there were so many changes.
Sometimes you'll say a coach, hey, why he decided to use this moment to make these changes. But again, that's when you get to see a real character of the coach, because the personnel he had on the pitch, I think somehow it worked. Hence, they managed to score that goal. Yeah, there's this word we call a BMT, big match temperament. You get to see players during those phases, if they can arise in big matches. I think the coach, what he did, fairly worked for him up until the team against he played equalized. But in totality, that change had to be made. You know, regardless if he was playing a so-called small team or a big team, at the end of the day, you normally do what you feel has been working for you in a training session.
Captain Miguel was on the bench. He's been playing the whole season.
Yes.
But then the coach decided to put him on the bench and start with Tukwinika.
Yes.
And no Dove. He's been out with injuries.
Yes.
So was that a good combination? Because Miguel was on the bench. Also, benchini.
Yes.
umthethwa. So there were a lot of changes. Baqala ngongqondo.
Yeah, there were a lot of changes.
Who's been
I
hot and
think
cold.
Ntokozo, what also we must consider is that obviously when the coaches do a match analysis, they'll do it mainly on 70%. How many does a certain player played, throughout 7 games and so forth. So when the Kaizer Chiefs coach Nabi brought these changes, I doubt Pirates were well aware of what was happening. To a certain extent, for them to understand and acclimatize what was happening on the pitch, it was somehow very late, but the approach from Coach Nabi, I'd say it was too good. Maybe one can complain why he did it in that game of that magnitude, but it's only us who can say that just because he ended up losing that game. But the approach was good. Honestly speaking, yes, few individuals we would have wanted to see them on the pitch, or likes of Cele, for a team like Kaizer Chiefs, who are so influential on the pitch, who bring another dynamism in their play. So it's important for also us as supporters, as people who are watching the game with a naked eye, to say, let's give a coach a benefit of doubt. As I said, BMT was also going to count in that game. As a result, Pirates came back because it's one team that has been keeping it consistent in their team, where you keep your liner in terms of the personnel. They've always been having those players. It was not just a total team that has have been changed. So I knew that they were going to come back in that game, because the higher it became so difficult for Chiefs to adjust. Remember, there were many changes that were made on the day.
But even for Paris, there were also changes. Because Fran Ryan was not available. Then they started with Shandu.
Yes.
Whom I think did well.
Yes.
And also Omako that side.
What makes it different, though, is that, when you are in that momentum of winning, it's not the same as someone who's playing percentage football, which is Kaizer Chiefs at this stage.
And coach Uhocho.
Yeah.
He contributed a lot.
Too much, because
on that game.
True.
Because
he was not
also
played
involved.
he was not played in his
second goal.
natural position. Yeah. He was more of an offensive player, which made them so much impact in terms of overloading side areas. Because if you look at the goal they scored, he played a significant role. He contributed immensely for them to get that goal. So the approach from Pirates was also outstanding. Having to see also pushing up higher the line, playing more in an offensive position, I think it helped a lot for a team like Pirates.
Umfukeng as a number 10.
The approach from coach, I think it was
what you saw.
Approach from coach, I think it was mainly the boy can eliminate. He's got that individual brilliance. So now when it drifts to the side, it becomes more of a mountain for him. He still has to eliminate or provide a cross. Now, if he's coming from the side again, he has to eliminate and also engage with the ball. But in this case, if you are playing one of the two turns, it's either you eliminate or you turn, you take a shot. The difference is that you are closer to goal mouth. Whereas if you drift to the side, there's so much work there to be made. I think the coach there, that was an individual thinking which was well planned, because as a result, the young man ended up scoring. But in totality, for me, I don't think he gave enough of what we know him of. He played in patches. That goal brought him back somehow, but he was not a player whom we know and what he can deliver on the day.
And also, Pirates, what they did, they capitalized on my mistake, Chiefs.
Yes.
Because you saw how that break attack.
Yeah.
You saw how it happened.
True.
Shabalala, he had options.
Yes.
But then he lost the ball there.
He lost the ball.
Immediately lost the ball. 2 touches was the goal.
Sometimes we say...
So me, a coach, I would say, yes, as much as Mtu lost the ball.
Yeah.
But which means the defenders, they were not ready.
Yeah, when you talk of rest defense, you don't focus more on the action.
Yes, because we were attacking. But even when you lost the ball,
yeah, modern game requires that. So you play with the ball, we play without the ball. Now it simply says, even if he had just kicked the ball out for us to reorganize ourselves, he wouldn't have made him a cow. But at least we do have a structure in place. So in that incident, even our rest defense was caught napping, there was caught sleeping. As a result, it was 1-2. The ball was in the back of the net.
Also the second goal.
Yeah.
Was involved. Is it a lack of confidence or what is it? Because I mean, like you you lose position, they go and punish.
Sometimes, Ntokozo, when you are overconfident, such things are likely to happen. You've got to be more disciplined. You've got to understand the zones on the pitch. I always say this, there are areas where you've got to eliminate touches. If you want to do more of penetrative passes or you want to engage with the ball, you check where you are. I'll give you an example. If I've just reach the middle third, advancing my final third, and I make more than 4 touches, it's easy for me because even if I lose the ball, I still have cover just behind me. Even in our defense, our rest defense will always be there to give me that guidance. But now, in critical phases, you just end up losing the ball and you don't even aware of this thing of scanning. Your body angles are so important, you know. So I think it's more of overconfident than to say the boy became complacent and so forth. But in totality, it really costed the team.
Man of the match on the day, Mafa.
I still need to believe or rather be given that assurance as to how we normally select the man of the match because it has become a norm. Towards that once you score in South Africa, you are given that preference of being a man of the match. Now, if you look at it in totality, for me to score a goal, I get a pass from you. Sometimes you do a dirty work because you still have to mark and defend this ball, regain possession, maybe play a penetrative pass, line breaking pass to get me. My job is to turn and tap the ball into the back of the net. So I'm not doing away with the criteria that is used in terms of selecting man of the match. But my take on that one, it's something that has to be looked at. We can't have that mentality of saying because Ntokozo has scored, he has to be given that preference of saying he deserves to be a man of the match. I'm not saying it's wrong. But if you look at the distance covered by a player, if you look at the attack the player does, you look at maybe let's talk about the defense, maybe your fullback, the diagonal passes he makes, the 1v1s he cuts, the overlapping, the underlapping, those movements, keeping our structure at the back, balance. Maybe you find that the very same player will go up and score a goal. You see now that the job the guy has done. Now you reward a player with just one pass, he tapped the ball into the back of the net, then we say he deserves to be a man of the match. I'm not saying it's wrong.
On Sunday, I saw a lot of youngsters given a chance from the TDC, which is good for Pirates.
Yes.
What's your intake on that?
Last week I had a chance to watch Barcelona. They were playing PSG, Playing PSG. I think 80 to 90%, it was dominated by youngsters. I think we must also take that pattern in South African football. If we start having that mentality of throwing these youngsters in the deep end, I spoke about the PMT. We want these boys to have a big match temperament at this age, at this early age, because it's going to help us. It's not only helping us, but it's also helping the Bafana team. It's going to make our national team more stronger if we have these youngsters. It was a good thing. From both sides now, I can see even other teams are adapting that, which is a positive sign for South African football. We just need to keep up to that because it's going to help our football to grow.
Before we move to the next coming game over the weekend, there was a red card.
Yes. Yeah.
Against
Chiefs.
Against Chiefs.
Yeah.
What do you say about that?
We say in South African football, there's a phrase that is used. It's Ubuntu, Tsamaya, Parat. And the result, we say, when you talk of Ubuntu, it's the dignity, how you treat your teammates, opponents, officials, and so forth. Then we talk about the one, which I saw happening on Saturday. That individual brilliance, that skill, you always want to see, provided there's a progression on it. So one quarter did there was no option for him. Most of his teammates were far from him. So there was only way he could resort to. That is to what? Eliminate. And what I liked, Ntokozo, is not that he just dribbled with no intention of progressing. He tried to dribble a player with an intention of going forward. And that boy is very smart because he knew that the defender is sitting on a yellow card. So now if I go past, definitely because there's no card, he'll take me down. And guess what happened? Chiefs were one man down because he took him down. That was the second year. It resulted into a red card. The boy was out.
Saturday, Moses Mapida. It's a Nedbank Cup final. Pirates, they haven't won anything this season. Chiefs, they haven't won anything in years.
Yes.
So it's a tricky situation for both teams. Because you must understand, if Pirates lose on Saturday, which means the whole season they were playing for nothing.
Yeah.
If Chiefs wins, which means now there's no 10-year with no cup. Now the cup will be there. So it's going to be a very, very, very tight situation.
Very, very true, my brother. But let us also give credit to the technical team of Orlando Pirates, because going to Saturday's game, when you talk of head-to-head, when you talk of breaking rights, Pirates got that competitive edge, which will help them. They've got their tails up going to this game, which might also hurt them, because the confidence might also kill you. It's gonna deal more with the coaches when they saw this thing of psychological factor from players. But in totality, as you've said, my brother, Chiefs, they are more or less the same as Pirates, because they haven't won anything when you talk about the league itself. I'm not saying Sundowns have ran with it, but it's highly impossible. It's highly impossible, my brother, that Pirate can come up with something. But it will be a bitter pill to swallow if Chiefs were to win the Saturday's game, based on the fact that we've just made now. If Chiefs were to win, it will be like Pirates was playing for nothing. It's a blessing in disguise for them, because they've got to fill the stadium today, understand the underfoot conditions, having to take on golden arrows this afternoon, which will help them, to have that understanding of Moses Mapida. Yes, they may have played in Moses Mapida, but it's a different scenario now. So I think going to Saturday's game, it's going to be a different ball game. I don't want to lie. Don't think because Pirate Chiefs lost on Saturday, it's going to be the same. That game is always having that magnitude, which counts for every player to showcase their talent and have the state of readiness to say, I also wanted to be counted in the derby. It's always good. You yourself, you know how the derby is. You've played the derby. You know what it means to win in the derby. So it's going to be one of those games, and it's good, once again, for football of South Africa, that advertisement, having these two teams having to play in the finals.
There's an issue of tickets. It's very sad for football-loving people from KZN.
Yeah.
They've been queues all over. Shoprite, Checkers, but there is a challenge that there are tickets not available.
You see, Ntokozo, this one is a very sensitive one. I went to one of the malls. When you talk of lines, people queuing up for tickets, not all of us, those are exposed to the modern technologies and so forth. When you talk about people buying online, I can tell you now, it's more of those people than people who went to compete tickets. That's my take on the matter. So I think whether you say PSL or people of the tournament itself, which is Nedbank, they have to revisit the approach or the structure as to how they conducted this thing, because somehow it never gave a good picture of South African football. When you look at what has happened now, people are still yearning to go to the stadium. People are still having that hope that they will go to the stadium. The unfortunate part, they are at a dilemma because they don't know whether they'll be able to get to the stadium. So I see people having a chance. So it's those who manage to buy the tickets online, which is something unfortunate. And it's a very first time. In my football understanding, it has never happened. What has happened today and yesterday, it's something one can't really explain. But I think they just need to revisit and have a proper way of doing it going forward, because you hardly have such games in the final. It's been a while.
Especially in KZN.
Yes. Chiefs, Pirates having to be brought in KZN. You remember after what happened in Ellis Park, that stampede, they then decided all these Chiefs Pirate games will be played in FNP Stadium. Now that we've got this privilege of seeing our two teams, big teams in some of the, in Africa, having to partake in what's this thing, Moses Mapida. But this thing happens. Ish, I don't know. It's something which is very
Okay,
sad.
that's a story for another day. Let's come to the game now.
Yeah.
Any changes you expect from both teams?
Obviously,
Who you
they
want to
say
see maybe in the lineup?
they say you don't fix something which is not broken. But again, it's going to be a tactical approach from both Chiefs and Pirates coaches. Yes, they do a lot of analysis. You'd also consider how did you consider a goal? You know, they'll go and do video analysis, and then from there it is going to be whether it's rectified on the pitch, but it's going to be a short period because they just played on Saturday. They are coming again. It's just 7 days, you know. Yes, you are likely to see some changes because you'll find maybe in the last 20 minutes there are players who came in and made so much impact, which might result from the coaches who say, no, let's allow these players to start. But in totality, I foresee not much of changes because if you look at the score itself, tells you it was a game that was mainly based on the two halves. They both had, you know, their fair chance. It was mainly saying who utilized the chances on the day.
Let me put in a spot. You are a Chiefs coach.
Yes.
Give me your first 11 for Saturday.
To cut the long story short,
Cut it.
it's the team that finished.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pirate?
Maybe one or two changes. They are also led by what happened on the weekend, which was winning. Yeah. So if a player was on the pitch, as I'm saying, tactical changes might arise. But again, even for them, then there won't be much changes. Also, maybe you'll see Maswangai starting the game, whereas we've seen him most of the time now starting on the bench. You know, you might have Mafa starting on the bench, whereas Chiefs will want to plan for him, and you don't get to see. This game is going to be one on the bench. This one is going to be one on the bench, my brother.
Okay. Tonight's game, you spoke about the game Heroes and the Pirates, which is also a crucial game.
Yeah.
Because if Pirates loses tonight,
Yeah.
they will have a problem.
Yes.
Sundowns is gone.
Yeah.
So each and every game is a final.
Yeah. You might find few changes for Pirates.
Tonight's game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember, we can't run away from the fact that the coach is leaving from Pirates. So he'll always want to close on a high note, which is getting one more cup in his bag. And that is Nedbank. So expect to see few changes in tonight's game from the Pirates side. Whereas when you talk of Coach Manqoba, is one coach who plans, you know, who sits more on the notes to get more info about the opponent. I foresee a good game today. We are likely to see a draw.
That's why I'm touching on that game.
Yeah.
Because before we go to the final,
Yeah.
they have to think about this game.
Exactly.
Because if they lose this game, Sundowns is gone.
Yeah, you are right. You are 100% correct.
That's why I'm touching it because it's very important.
No, this one is very important.
They can't take it light.
They can't take it light. They can also win it. It goes either way. Ntokozo. Remember, even Golden Arrows is not sitting in a good position.
Yeah, they need a point.
But it's one team who've done well against Pirates, which is Golden Arrows. Also considering that they've got this new coach now, which is Coach Manqoba. If they don't win today, Golden Arrows, they might get it wrong. They're going to make it difficult for Pirates.
Okay.
Because it's based on the changes that are going to be done by Pirates.
So
remember,
so
people
tonight,
are saving themselves.
Tonight we sing a draw.
It's either it goes to Arrows' way or it's a draw.
Camera is a Taiwan. Camera is a Taiwan tonight.
I'm giving it to Arrows.
To Arrows.
Yeah.
Saturday?
It will go to extra time, then Chiefs it will win it there.
Okay, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That 10-year drought is coming to an end this weekend. Remember, I'm a neutral person. I'm saying this based on the facts.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Afethu asenizwile la into ekunisishilo ukuthi tonight Heroes yathatha on a Tuesday before the final. Final yathatha course to extra time. Sesivala coach.
Yeah,
to the viewers, anything to say before Spale?
Aye. It's always a great pleasure, Bafowethu. Let's support the show. Let's support the podcast. It's important for us to interact from time to time. getting your views will also grow us as people. Keep supporting this Ntokozo podcast. It's one for the future, and we are very delighted because we are getting to know our former players, former coaches, from where they started up to this day. We are very grateful. Thank you so much.
Bafethu ngoba ngishilo ukuthi sizochange studio sibe la, but coach will always be here talking about the games, analyzing predictions and stuff like that. But without your support bafethu asilutho. Keep on supporting us and subscribe and comment. Sesiyaphuma sizishwi. Danko.